The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment.
Congratulations, Central Emergency Services Alaska, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34941. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting down under the front bumper, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks attached to the passenger and driver's side frame rail. Directly in the center, you'll find a receiver hitch. Located just next to the receiver hitch, you'll find your 12-volt power. Moving up onto the face of the bumper, you'll find on the passenger and driver side dual air horns. Located just to the right on the passenger side, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Directly in the center, you'll find your unit identifier. Let's move up onto the bumper extension. We'll first start on the passenger side with a swivel discharge. Located directly in the center, D handle will gain you access into the tubbed storage location for your front bumper load. And then as we move just to the right in the image, you'll find your mechanical siren located on the bumper extension. Let's move to the face of the cab. On the outer edges, you're going to find emergency warning lights just beneath the headlight structure. As we move to the outer edges, you'll find turn indicator and marker light, and then just inside of that location is the headlight structure housing a low and high beam headlight. The high beam will be located on the inside. Moving up to the next bezel, you're going to find a turn indicator arrow and also an emergency warning light. As we move up to the windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving to the outer edges, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Incorporated in that brow is where you'll find your ID lights. Moving toward the center, you'll find your Opticom located directly in the center over the brow light, and on the very top section of the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's go ahead and take a look at the side of the vehicle, full picture, and we'll focus now in on the cab area. Let's start first with the axle. Located in the center of the axle, you'll find a sight gauge. You'll find your Alcoa wheels. Moving to the front bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move up to the A pillar, you'll find that turn indicator marker light. And then you'll find 2 door handles. These are easily accessible with a gloved hand, and they are also a keyed lock. Right next to that, you're going to find the grab handle for getting access in and out of the cab. As we move to the rear of the cab, you'll find an emergency warning light side facing just above the notch area. Let's move directly over the front axle, where you'll find a camera located directly behind the grab handle area. You'll also find, when plugged into shore power, your auto supply battery charger system will maintain batteries when plugged in. As we move up to the very top, you'll find your side-facing cab floodlight, and then to the very back of the cab, you'll find an LED water tank level indicator. Here's some close-ups of those items we just talked about. First with the front bumper extension. As we move inside, D handle will gain you access into this space, dry deck material inside. Let's take a look at the front axle once again. Sight gauge located in the center. And we'll now move into the driver's space. First, let's talk about the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, you'll find all of our safety and warning information. You'll also find latch and lock located in a combination, manual window controls, and a grab handle. Down in the stepwell, you'll find your air inlet. You'll also find about the right ankle of the operator this placard, manufactured for your department, has the date of manufacture, the 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. It also has the VIN number and all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. Let's move up to about the A pillar left knee of the operator. You're going to find your master battery switch. We'll start with that. It is a quarter turn. It's the silver switch. As we move to the right, you'll find your tech module. And just right next to that, you're going to find the engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port. These 2 ports are your for maintenance team. And as we move down, you'll find your ABS diagnostic switch, DPF regen switch, engine diagnostics switch, and also regen inhibit switch. When any of these functions have been activated, the light will illuminate in the switch itself. As we move to the right, you'll find a display port. Let's move up once again about the left knee of the operator, where you'll find a digital readout for your pump pressure. This is for pump and roll operations. As we move to the right, you'll find a water tank level indicator, and then just to the right of that, you'll find a foam A tank level indicator. Let's move up to the switch panel, which is next on your left. You're going to find a stationary OK to pump and roll. This is an indicator switch. To the right, water pump, foam system, CAFs, moose light, and also your load manager. As we move to the dash on the left, you'll find your ignition and start switch. As we move just inside of that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM. This is your emergency master. It will engage and disengage all emergency lights with one button. To the right, you'll find your headlight switch and also a switch labeled panel, which will allow you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. Just to the right of the steering column is where you'll find your OK to engage the high idle indicator and switch. Moving up onto the dash, you'll find your transmission oil, DEF level, and water temperature. As we move to the right-hand side, you're going to find front and rear air, fuel, and volts. Located directly in the center, you're going to find a tachometer and speedometer. Engine diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move slightly to the right, where you'll find your tire chain engaged switch. It is a red light indicating your tire chains have been deployed. Let's move to the right of the dash, where you'll find at the very top center area, displaying right now the backup camera. This is your Pierce command zone. Also, you'll find a switch bank, which we'll go over in just a few moments. I would like to point out the yellow diamond. This is your pull to apply your system parking brakes and push to release. Just to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with a digital readout. And then just beneath that, you'll find mirror controls for the flat and convex mirror. And then as we move to the right, you'll find also an activation or deactivation for your backup alarm. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, let's go back up to the top with your Pierce command zone. Once again, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see the owner's manual for more information. To the right, push to apply windshield wiper fluid, rotate right to left for windshield wiper speed. Let's move downward from this location to a bank of switches. On the left, we'll start with the engine brake on and off switch, a setting switch for low, medium, or high settings, differential lock, which is a protected switch, also off-road traction, mirror heat, and tire chains, which is also a protected switch. Let's move further down where you'll find your Allison transmission pad on the right, push to apply your system parking brake, and mirror controls. You'll also find your alarm disable. Hold that for 5 seconds to disable. As we move further to the center, you're going to find couple of caution, disengage retarder when on wet, slippery surfaces. You'll also find climate control in the upper portion for heat and air conditioning and also defrost. To the right and slightly down is where you're going to find a 12-volt USB style access point. Let's look overhead in the operator's position. First, I'd like to point out this yellow placard on the very left. This has the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 8 inches, length 31 feet, 0 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating 49,000 pounds. If you make any changes, please adjust this placard accordingly. To the right, you'll find emergency lights for emergency master, roof light, front warning, and side warning. The lower section, lower, upper warning lights, high beam flash, and your Opticom. As we move further to the right, you'll find your air horn, mechanical siren, a siren brake for that mechanical siren, perimeter lights, front flood, driver's side and passenger side flood, and also rear flood. Once again, when any of these switches have activated, you can see the green illuminating around the outer edge of the switch membrane. As we move further to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor, PA, siren control, unit radio, which is on a swivel, and then just a quick look here to the right of the operator seat at the center area. Let's look directly behind the driver's seat. First, when plugged into shore power, this outlet is active. Therefore, then it will charge your batteries with your battery charger in the upper portion. Let's go ahead and look to the rear wall of the apparatus. On each side, you can see netting compartments, and also in the very center, you have 2 SCBA seats and also 2 rear-facing seats. As we look overhead in the cab area, and let's go exterior now, first starting with that backup or side camera here, and then also a battery volt indicator. Once again, when plugged into shore power, this will become active, indicating your level. As we move down, you'll find the auto eject for a 20 amp shoreline inlet. And let's go ahead and move further back now as we look into the cab area. And then let's go ahead and move to the door panel. Once again, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning information, manual window control, and door lock and latch. As we move to the center area, you'll find a lift and turn latch will gain you access to the rear portion of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission. And in the upper right-hand corner in this image, you'll find a 12-volt access via USB style. Here's an image of the oil check and transmission check area. General view here, once again, to the very rear, 2 forward-facing seats and 2 rear-facing seats. As we look into those 2 compartments on the outer edges, you'll find Shoreline outlets will power these. Once again, when plugged into Shoreline, these will be active. As we move now to the cross section, you'll find in the driver's side, this latch will gain access into this space in the upper portion. In the lower portion, there are 3 hose loads here. First, let's start with the number 1 crosslay. It's foam capable. Number 2 crosslay, foam capable, and also the 2.5-inch crosslay, which is also foam capable. As we move down to the very bottom section, you'll find this warning label. It's indicating entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement, and that's why we have this warning placard located here. Let's move down into the notch area. We'll start with a few more warning information, but let's first cover the 2.5-inch discharges, ball valves located in the very front section. And at the very top section, we have a warning regarding foam failure. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. And then also your foam auxiliary function here. This is the fill location for your foam tank. As we move down, you'll find the Pierce logo, American flag eagle. This is your large diameter pump inlet. And because it's an automatic valve, there is a relief valve at the very top for manual control. As we move down, you'll find a warning regarding entanglement hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move further to the right, you'll find your auxiliary 2.5-inch female ball valve. As we move to the upper right, you'll find when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. And also at the very bottom section, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the pump panel. We'll start at the very top in the center. If you've engaged your pump properly from inside the cab, this light will be illuminating, indicating OK to pump. As we move to the left, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. We'll go over that in just a moment. And also a very important placard, warning, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after they received proper training. To the right, you'll find a gauge heater. This is automatic. It will indicate when it is on by illuminating and also has a fault indicator. As we move to the right to the green module, this is your foam level tank A module, giving you the amount of foam in the tank. As we move to the gray area, this is going to be your master intake gauge, and then to the right, you'll find your master discharge gauge. In between the 2 of those gauges, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged, and these are for testing purposes. As we move to the upper right-hand corner, you'll find a PCM fault indicator. It is an amber indicator. Just beneath that, you'll find an audible speaker. This allows you to dampen the sound by simply rotating the outer bezel. As we move down also, you'll find a pump overheat amber indicator. Let's move downward on the pump panel. We'll start on the left-hand side with all of your color-coded and labeled discharges. The red is indicating foam capable. As we move to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. This is a push-to-prime air prime. You also have a minimum operation of at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. As we move down, you'll find your auto tank fill, and then to the right, you'll find your pressure throttle governor, and also in the center of that, you'll find a blue module, which is your water tank level indicator. Let's move down onto the pump panel. We'll talk about a couple items here. With those discharges, you also have a CAF system. This actually engages the CAF system for each of those discharges, color-coded and labeled. To the right, you'll find the rear inlet open and close. And then as we move down to the very bottom, you'll find a CAF's label here. This is an indication and instructions. Moving further down, you'll find the tank fill and recirculating line and tank to pump. You do have 4 electric valves located in this area. As we move to the right, the blue module, this is your CAF's system. As we move just to the right, this is going to be your Husky 12 foam system module. And then all the way to the right, you'll find your deluge discharge. Let's move to the very bottom section of the pump panel. We'll first start in the lower section with all of your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move to the left, you'll find your CAF's air outlet. It's the lower section is the outlet and the lift latch is the engage. As we move to the right, you'll find a lift and turn pan door. We'll talk about the contents behind it next, but let's look to the vertical side sheet where you'll find floodlight control and also diesel heaters, compartment heaters, and a red air horn button. We do have a caution here regarding electrical distribution. As we move now to the opposite vertical side sheet, you'll find your foam system for your Husky 12 foam system specifications and also instructions. As we move down into that lift and turn, this is your foam fill operations. The yellow handle matches the instructions on the back of the door. And then just below that, you'll find your manual pump shift, which is a protected switch with an indicator. Let's go back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left, you'll find the associated GPM at test pressure. On the right, the associated RPM at test pressure, and then also your 5-digit job number at the very top, 34941. Let's move just to the right of the pump panel where you'll find additional storage location, adjustable shelving, and also these two pull-out drawers. As we move to the next compartment back, you'll find roll-up compartment door to your SCBA, and then you'll also find SCBA bottle storage with retaining straps, and then also an oxygen bottle storage. As we move to the rear of the axle, single SCBA bottle with retaining strap. Silver cap is your ultra low sulfur diesel. Blue cap is the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, you'll find at the very bottom section a pull-out tray. The release mechanism is on the lower right-hand side, adjustable shelves, and also LED lighting. Let's take a quick look at the full side with all of your compartments in the open position. And then let's go ahead and move all the way to the rear. Currently we have the ladder deployed. And with that, I would like to point out a few items on that ladder. There is some pinch information here regarding warning, and then also additional warning. If you're going to climb on the ladder or the vehicle itself, make sure you face the vehicle while climbing. Let's move more toward the center area where you'll find at the very top an entanglement hazard warning. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement, and that's why we have this warning. Also, fall hazard. You should never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. And once again, to the right, you're going to find that pressure hazard warning. At the very top, this is going to be your traffic advisor. As we move directly over the Pierce logo placard is where you'll find your backup camera recessed. And then also we're going to find a discharge to the rear 2.5 inch. As we move to the very bottom section, adjustable shelving and also a pull-out tray at the very bottom section. Let's move up into the upper section. We'll identify some hose storage locations. And then also tool storage locations, 10-foot attic ladder. As we move to the right side, you're going to find at the very bottom section a 24-foot extension and a 14-foot roof. General view here of all the compartments in the open position. Let's start at the very rear of the apparatus. And we'll start first with a pull-out tray at the very bottom section, adjustable shelf in the upper portion. I'd also like to move just underneath the compartment here where you'll find a side facing. They're on the passenger and driver side. This is a hitch receiver for your winch, and then also you'll find 12-volt power. As we move back inside the compartment, you'll find shoreline outlet. Once again, 20 amp. This means when you're plugged into shore power, this will become active. Here's the tray in the open position. As we move directly under the compartment, you'll find a rear inlet air bleed. Let's move to the forward section over the axle where you'll find a D-handle gains you access to the back side of the tool board. When that tool board has been opened all the way, there is a lock mechanism which you must lift to return it back to storage. We'll also find 3 SCBA bottle storage locations to the rear of the axle. As we move to the forward section, you'll also find 3 SCBA bottle storage locations. Just downward from this location from the marker light is where you're going to find this warning label. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Be careful where you park your vehicle and have a safety plan while you're doing your regen. As we move underneath, you'll find your tire chains. And then let's move forward to the next compartment. Adjustable shelves, a pull-out tray. The next image will show you with the tray in the deployed portion. The right-hand side of that tray is the release mechanism to remove it or pull it back into storage locked position. Underneath, you'll find your rear inlet and manifold drain. Let's go now to the midsection of the apparatus. We're in the very upper portion where you'll find long-handled tool storage for 4 hand tools. As we move to the lower section, you'll find 3 single-lay cross-lay stacks. Underneath those, you'll find the labels indicating what crosslay they are and what color code they are. Now as we're to the notch area, you'll find your strainer. Moving to the right, you'll find your Pierce logo, American flag eagle, large diameter pump inlet, and because it's an electric, there is an override at the very top for manual. To the right, you'll find a pressure warning. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And then to the right, you'll find your cab lift for instructions for raise and lower. Make sure all items are secured within the cab before the operation. Just beneath that, an additional electric valve on this side for your 2.5 and an override. As we move down to the lower left, you'll find a 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. This is on the passenger side. As we move just to the forward section, large diameter discharge. It also is electric, so it has an override. And down at the very bottom section, these are all your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Back on the overrides, those are for manual use if there is an electronic failure. As we move to the side of the vehicle, compartment doors closed, same configuration on this side. We do have a side-facing camera just to the rear of the front seat. Rear section of the cab, let's first focus in on the door panel. Once again, all safety and warning information. All placards are affixed to the door panel, manual window control, door lock latch, and also a grab handle. General view overhead, push on and off white or red lenses, and also your air conditioning and intercom system. As we move now to the officer space, let's go ahead and take a look at the door panel. Safety and warning information affixed to this area. Also manual window control, door lock latch, and also grab handle. As we move inside to the dash area, you'll find on the right side of the A-pillar is where you're going to find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. As we move just to the left in the officer seat, you'll find 12-volt power via USB and also barrel style, and then also siren brake, mechanical siren, and an air horn push button. Let's move directly behind the seat of the officer where you'll find your unit base station radio. As we move to the forward section, you'll find a storage location, push on and off red or white lens lights. Also, you'll find your FireCom system module. Just underneath this location is where you'll find the FireCom wireless base module. As we move to the right, you'll find your AM/FM weather band CD Bluetooth radio. And then the general view overhead of the forward section, you'll find in the very center, if the light in the middle red is indicating illuminating, you have a compartment door or open. As we move to the front section of the cab, you'll find these warning labels. This is a non-walking surface on the cab and it's extremely slippery. Let's go ahead and move now to the dunnage area. First, you'll find your master stream device located in the center area. You'll also find 4 storage locations on the outer edges. These hatch compartments open to the exterior. LED lighting and dry deck material inside. Back to the dunnage area. This is your CAFS system located in the very center. It has its own compartment. As we move also just to the left in this image, you'll find foam fill for tank A and also top fill for your water tank. Let's go back to the foam fill because we do have a warning label. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the right, you'll find the top fill location for your water tank. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the rear of the apparatus. You have 2 center dividers located here, also a full hose bed cover. Congratulations, Central Emergency Services Alaska, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34941. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.